Hello and welcome to the series 100 Days of AWS, and today is day 16 where I'm going to talk about containers and how you can spin up a container with Lightsail. So let's get started and understand what we are going to cover today in the day 16 checklist. So we are going to understand what containers are, what is the difference between VM and containers, what are the containerization platforms available, and then we are going to create a container with Amazon Lightsail. So this is the day 16 of 100 Days of AWS, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel as of now, I would recommend to do so you are notified for the new videos that I'm uploading in this series of 100 Days of AWS. Alright, so let's get started and understand what a container is. Let's take a scenario. Suppose you are a developer and you are writing a code. Now you run that code on your development machine, be it a laptop or any PC. So that development machine will have some physical infrastructure, some operating system, some libraries, and then the code. For example, in case of our WordPress website, the infrastructure that we have on our laptop would be the CPU, memory, disk, and the network. On top of it, we'll have an operating system, for example, Linux, Windows, or Mac, depending upon whatever operating system that you have on your system. Then we are going to install some libraries. For example, for WordPress, you need Apache, PHP, MySQL, or maybe some other libraries so that you can test it on your local development machine, and then you will write the code. Now what happens if you are running this code on a server? You might use a virtual machine. For example, in this case, our Amazon Lightsail instance, where I'm spinning up a virtual machine which contains an operating system, that is Linux, and then you will have some application. As I mentioned, it can be LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, on top of which I can run my code or application, that is WordPress. Now this is the complete Lightsail instance that we have spin up, and you will see it runs on hypervisor. So this runs on top of hypervisor, which runs on top of infrastructure. Now so far so good, but this has some overhead. So far so good, but this has some overhead. Now this guest operating system and that we have, if we are supposedly spinning 5 copies of virtual machine of WordPress, this guest operating system would be redundant, right? So we are not following the correct modular approach. If we can split this guest operating system so that we can only have 5 copies of application here. Now also, when you package this virtual machine in form of a kind of image, it is very heavy. A typical time to orchestrate a virtual machine, that is download the operating system and install the software, etc., might take at minimum 15 to 30 minutes, which is high in case of a high resilient architecture. So we need something else so that we can first of all remove this redundancy and then have a lighter way of deploying our code. So this problem is solved by containers, where you package your binaries and libraries, including your code, in some sort of a container application, which is run on top of a containerization platform. So this container actually contains your code and binary libraries that you package on form of a kind of a container, which you can run on top of any containerization platform, for example, Docker. Now let's see what is the key difference between a container and a virtual machine. Alright, so I've listed some differences between VM and containers, and the biggest one is that each virtual machine requires its own guest operating system. However, the container shares the host operating system. So there's that operating system is now removed in containerization platform. The downside is that the isolation is lower in case of container because they share the same resources, and it's a bit tricky to manage the containers because of the less level of separation or less level of isolation. It has some potential security risk as well. So what is the advantage of using virtual machine? It is more suitable for running running applications. It is more suitable for running microservices or single processes. So this is a key application, and you should always keep in mind where your container would be feasible and where your virtual machine would be feasible. So these are the differences. Go ahead, go through this, and these are some of our containerization platform. For example, Docker, Kubernetes, Apache Mesos, LXC, Core OS, and OpenShift. And now let's start with the containers, and let's see how you can spin up containers with Lightsail. So I will just go to the containers tab in my Lightsail account. I will select Nano, which is the cheapest one, and you can see there are a couple of options here. I can either create a deployment, or I can just select this and create the container. Now the concept with container is that you need an image. First, let me change the region to in Mumbai, and I will see the cost. It's $7 per USD per month, and let us create this container. So it might take some time for it to spin up the container because it will also spin up the endpoint where you can access it. So this endpoint is publicly accessible. It will also have a local endpoint where we can access it internally. Now you can upload the image from a public registry or from a local machine. You can create a deployment. Deployment is an advanced topic which we'll cover in ECS. You can check the capacity, you can check the installed images, as well as you can click on custom domains and map a custom domain using CNAME to your endpoint. So the default domain is the one which is provided by Lightsail as a default domain where you can access it. Then you have a tab to check the metrics. Once the container is spin up, you can see some of the usage here. So I will deploy Nginx on my container, and let me just create it. Click on continue, and you can say this is a public endpoint provided, and the image is also mentioned here, public.ecr AWS Nginx. This is the image, and it is being spin up on port 80 with protocol HTTP. And you can see there is a deployment version. So whenever you update any image, you can upload it, and it can have a next version of your deployment. So the current deployment version is 1, but in case of any update, it would be 2. So in this case, you can track the deployments in the deployment version. So this is the detail of the container. You can also check the logs if you click on the open logs option. Once the container is up, you will see that in open log. So issue open log. So if you open log, and you can see these are all the you can say logs from the container. I can now click on the endpoint, and I would be able to access the Nginx service. So now this is the details, right? You can add the container entry, you can add a custom command, and you can just click on save and deploy, and it would be deployed. So this would create a new deployment if you click on deployments and do some changes here. So this is the current capacity, nano into 1, and then these are the stored Docker images, and you can say you can also download and install the AWS CLI. Then you have the custom domain. As I mentioned, you can map it, and you can see there are some usage in metrics now. So let me show you how to access the private domain now. If I click on the private domain, if I go to my EC2 instance that I have spin up, and from here I can just try to access the private domain name through curl command, and you can see it is being served. So it is also helpful if you want to access your container internally. So go ahead and try it out and spin up your container. And if you have any questions, you can ask me in chat or Discord. I will be happy to help you. See you tomorrow with a new video in this series of 100 Days of AWS.